Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Motivation Monday podcast for Monday, October 2nd, 2017. I want to apologize real quick for not putting one of these out last week. I was awfully sick, and you guys definitely didn't want to hear my voice last week. So we're back to it. I'm feeling much better. Um, Something's been going around the schools that I'm teaching at. This happens every single year when everybody ends up back in the same place. Something just kind of goes around the school and takes over everybody's immune system. But we are back at it, back to practicing, back to making the podcast. So let's jump into today's topic. So today I wanted to talk about something that is a mental side of practicing that I think many of us don't think about. So if you're like me, I'm very hard on myself when it comes to practicing. So a lot of the thoughts that occupy my mind are what I need to get better at. And of course, this is really, really important. It's very constructive, and the only way that you're going to grow is by taking an honest look at your skill set and trying to get better at what you're not good at. Otherwise, you're going to end up just playing instead of practicing. And there's obviously a huge difference between playing and practicing. But I wanted to talk today about taking some time when you're reflecting on your practice that you've just completed for the week, or when you're getting ready to plan your next week of practice, or just in general when you're taking stock of where you're at and trying to motivate yourself to get better. It's really important to also take a look at what you've done well. I think so many times we can get caught up in just, I need to be better, I need to be better, I'm terrible. You start comparing yourself to your heroes, and you can get yourself into a really sort of negative frame of mind when you're doing this. And it's important to be also cognizant of what you're doing right, because there's many things that you've gotten better at, even if you haven't mastered them the way that you ultimately want to years down the road. Take stock of the little things that have gotten better, and don't always just focus on what there is left to do. You can actually drive yourself nuts if you only take a look at that side of things. So at the end of the week, usually what I do is I'll reflect on what did I do well this week and what did I do not so well. Did I spend enough time on the instrument? Could I improve a little bit on the workflow of my practicing? Generally, I'll sit down and kind of decompress and then make some adjustments for the coming week, so that I can be sure that I'm getting the most out of my time and that I'm always growing. So a lot of this does center around, well, Nick, you worked on this for this week, but you didn't do such a good job of it. Next week, we need to either attack it from a different angle or basically just buckle down a little bit more. I'm really trying to be very honest with myself. But something that I've recently started doing was also writing down or thinking about a few things that I did well. And you may honestly feel like if you're in a particularly frustrating point of your musical career or your practice, or you're working on something really difficult where you really can't think of anything that you did well. But it's also important to realize that half of the battle is just taking the instrument out and actually performing the act of working on something. So even if there's really nothing else to feel good about in a particular week, just realize that you did it. You did something. You spent some time on your instrument, and that's really worth a lot in the grand scheme of things. So give yourself a pat on the back for that just in itself. But I'm willing to bet that more weeks than not, you really can be proud of something that you got better at. Another strategy that you could use is if you're working on something really difficult or you're working on something brand new, like let's say you are going to start working on giant steps, which is a huge thing for a lot of people when they finally get to the point where they can actually start working on those Coltrane changes, which is a very advanced thing. Record yourself playing over them at a certain tempo at the beginning of the week, and then don't listen to it, just file it away. And then at the end of the week, record yourself again playing over that same thing. And I'm willing to bet that you're going to hear some kind of improvement. Even if it's just a tiny little bit of improvement, it's still something to feel good about. And that will get you to work on it again the next week. instead of sometimes you get that thought in your head like, I can't do this. No matter how hard I try, I can't do this. I'm not getting any better at it. And the reason that you say that to yourself is that you think by the end of the week you should sound like John Coltrane playing over these, but obviously you shouldn't. Sometimes we just get caught up in that frustration. So if you record yourself at the beginning of the week and then you record yourself at the end of the week and you allow yourself to feel good about any little tiny ounce of improvement that you made, that might be enough to get you to keep working on it for a second week, right? So basically the message this week is just feel good about what you have accomplished. Be real with yourself and know that you still have a ton of work to do and reflect on that. But also, pat yourself on the back a little bit. You got through another week of actually working on your craft or your hobby or however you see jazz. Feel good about that. So that's the message for this week is allow yourself to have some good feelings and don't always get caught up in the, oh, I'm terrible, I just need to get better. That can really cloud your mind and cause for a lot of unneeded frustration. All right, I hope that helps. Drop me a line anytime you want. What are you struggling with? What do you need a little bit of motivation on? Let me know and I'll make one of these podcasts for you. All right, we'll see you on Friday with the regular episode. Have an awesome and inspired week, everybody. Talk to you soon.